Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sewing Monday. I want to thank you for joining me. I'm T. You might know me from my sewing blog, Sewing by T, or my fabric shop, Simply by T, or maybe you're just stumbling on this video. I want to welcome you and tell you I have got some exciting things about to happen here. I do have my kid in the background watching my video and giving me all those great thumbs up, so don't mind those. So today we're going to be talking about some really great projects that I finished recently. Up first is the Love Notions Constellation, which I am wearing, and I'm going to go into detail first. Welcome Daisy, welcome Natasha, welcome Melissa. We have got some great stuff going on today. I'm going to be talking about the Max and Meena Pick a Pocket Romper. There were a few things that I tried out with that pattern, and I just wanted to make sure that I took some time to present that to you. And then I also have the House Morrighan Abbie, which was a really fun sew, and if you're a member of our fabric group, then you've already seen that. But I really enjoyed making it, and I ended up making some bra kits for the shop, so you're going to want to definitely pay attention to that. So up first, of course, pop on, say hello so I know that you're here. Give this video a like. That will help make sure that other people can see the video. I am, of course, wearing my new Love Notions Constellation. I did pattern test for this one, and I haven't done a pattern test in a long time. And normally I do not pattern test for tops because I personally have to make too many adjustments to make it fit, and that doesn't help the designer with getting the fit right. But the Love Notions Constellation includes a built-in full bust adjustment. So that saved me like about 500 steps and allowed me to test this pattern without feeling that I was detracting anything from the designer. I made a straight size medium. I have a 36-inch over bust, a 41-inch full bust, and 40-inch hips. In this case, as long as your waist is smaller than your largest measurement, for example, your bust, then you don't have to make any adjustments at the waist, which is really great. Welcome, Stephanie. Well, and welcome, Lily. I'm glad that you're here to see me. So I made the collared version, not the hooded version. I'm going to go ahead and open this up. And there's some things that I really, really love about this pattern. So up first, I love that the zipper comes all the way to your actual waist. And that means I can nurse my baby in this without any special modifications. And of course, the pocket is huge. So the pocket goes all the way to the waist seam, like seriously, way big and super awesome. I did learn some really good things while working on this, so I'm actually going to take it off to show you some of the things that were important to me, and then also talk about how I finished the collar. Now, because this neckline opens up so big, there's no chance that I'm going to mess up my makeup, which I sometimes worry about. So see, good stuff. So on this pattern, she has a really nice neckline finish. You actually bind this whole edge, which means that if you, like me, have this habit of buying fat quarters and you're not a quilter and you really have no use for them, this is a great time to pull those out because it can be a really fun way to add some accent fabric. I actually finished my neckline a little bit different than the pattern calls for. And I will say that I even hand stitched it so you can actually see 0 stitches there. How fun is that? So that makes like the cleanest finish you've ever seen. It did actually not take me very long to do the hand stitching. So if you are going to make this pattern and you really want it to be over the top nice, do the hand stitching because it comes out so clean finished and just looks really professional. But something that doesn't look really professional is if you forget to use matching thread on your zipper. So I actually had cut out the entire pattern, had started sewing, put my zipper on, and realized that I didn't do a very good job matching left to right, and it looked horrible. And so I had to recut my front, my back, my collar, everything. So that's how I ended up. I was rushing at the last minute and I forgot to match my thread. So when you're working on yours, whether it's your top thread or your bottom thread that you're using, make sure that it matches your zipper so that the inside is finished as nice as the outside. And so I'm going to go ahead and talk about the collar. She does have you use interfacing in the lining collar, and that gives the collar some stability. And I'm going to go ahead and put my top back on. It is cold in here. So you do want to add interfacing. I do not recommend using a non-stretch interfacing because it's going to be really difficult to stitch your uninterfaced collar to your interfaced lining. So I did use a stretch fusible tricot, and if you notice, it stretches in one direction and not the other. You want to make sure that you allow that stretch to go around the collar and not vertically, because otherwise you're not going to be able to ease that into your collar. And of course, there's Facebook not showing me my messages. So welcome, Wanda. And oh, Melissa's asking what fabrics I used for the body. So this is actually Ponte from the shop. If you're a member of our Facebook group, then you may have seen a bunch of them come through. And I did sponsor this pattern. Not everybody took me up on the offer of free fabric, but most people did. So you're going to notice lots of them in quilted knit, and those turned out, of course, fabulous. A few people used our Under Armour, which I didn't even think to use the Under Armour, but that would make a great workout jacket. The textured knits were fabulous. I think it was Trisha who did one. She used the vertical stripe one, but she turned the stripe sideways. Fabulous, fabulous look. And what was another one? Oh, and of course, French terry and the glitter French terry. Amazing, amazing fabrics. And then for my lining, I just use simple cotton lycra. So it's not fancy, but it's really easy to fuse your interfacing. So that's always a nice touch. I always worry when I'm using synthetic fabrics that getting the iron hot enough to fuse is going to be too hot and going to melt my fabric. And then that causes all different kinds of problems. Thank you for sharing that link there, Melissa. So yes, this is Ponte from the shop. We have 3 other ones that would work fabulously. But honestly, there's so much good fabric that you could use for this and get so many different looks. So definitely, I have my mindset that I need more of these, especially because they're so easy for me to nurse in. So this is basically going to be my mama form for the next, 6 months. That's about how long our winter lasts here. So back to the actual process. Interfacing. You want it to be stretchy because otherwise you're not going to be able to ease. And you want to make sure that the stretch goes the long ways. And then how I finished my neckline so that I got that nice finished edge, instead of using pre-made bias tape, and I honestly really enjoy making bias tape, but I feel like this finish is going to be a little bit neater if you do it the way I'm recommending. So what I did first was I cut out a 2-inch piece of bias, and that's just woven fabric cut at a 45-degree angle so that it's nice and stretchy. And I've got that here on this neckline, and this collar is actually going to be part of my daughter's Christmas present. So this isn't going to be tossed. This is totally important to me. We've got this piece of bias tape, and all I did was sewed it on with a 3/8 inch seam allowance. Then I pressed it once to be flat, and then once again to turn that corner. Now, if you press this really, really well, it's going to hold itself together really easily, and that makes it really easy when you go to stitch the collar on, especially if you're hand stitching. It's really nice and stable, and so it finishes that edge so nicely, like I said, and it looks completely invisible. So professional, and who knew that something so simple could look so professional if you just take that little bit of time. So definitely take the time to finish your neckline. It's going to be so worth it. I have a bunch of these planned in my future, definitely with the black and purple quilted knit. Now that I've seen one in the Under Armour, I want a purple one, although the jade would be really pretty too. And I can't help but really want one of those in the textured knit. I'm considering maybe in the blue and gold. That'll just be like really over the top zip up hoodie. So definitely I am a fan of this pattern. I had 0 problems. The pattern test went so fast. The sleeve is asymmetrical. I don't know what else people would want to know about the pattern, but if you have questions, go ahead, you can type those up, and then I will be sure to double check as we get through the live video to make sure that I answer those. All right, so up next is the Max and Meena Pick a Pocket Romper. So my little guy has a really long body and comparatively short legs, and we cloth diaper. So I really needed a romper that was going to fit all of those needs and not require a bunch of adjustments or changes or me having to do a lot of fitting. For baby sizes, I don't like to blend a lot because they grow so fast that if you blend and make it fit too perfectly, by the time you actually get it done and they wear it like once, and then their body is a different proportion then too. So I like the Pick a Pocket Romper because she folds the neckline. And let me start out by saying that a hemmed neckline is generally not considered as nice a finish as actually binding or banding it. I do have plenty of patterns that bind or band it, but I find that I can hem a lot faster than I can apply binding, and that's helping me crank these out. So that's really useful. The original pattern does not have banded sleeves or legs. I just added that on by cutting off 1 inch of the length and then adding 1 inch band. So that was simple enough. But the thing I want to talk about that she did differently in this pattern is that instead of the usual ways that I'm used to enforcing the snap placket, she suggested using poly fleece. Now I'm sure just like some of you have a good selection of poly fleece just hanging around. And so I did try it that way. And I found that compared to the other ways that I've done it, it really didn't make any noticeable difference versus using just a strip of woven in there to support that section, or even fusible interfacing. So if you're going to make the pattern and you're not sure if you really have to use a poly fleece, I didn't notice any difference. My snaps are no more or less secure. However, I do apply my snaps with a snap press and not a hand press, and mine's actually converted to a foot press. So I can do them very fast and apply a lot of pressure. So maybe it makes a difference if you're hand pressing, but not so much with foot pressing. Overall though, for a really quick pattern that includes a bum circle so that we can fit cloth diapers nice and easily, this goes together really well. And I honestly it's fast and easy, and that's what I need right now for a little guy who's growing. So let me see if there's questions. Well, Natasha's mentioning adding this finish to all of her sweatshirts. I mean, honestly, it takes a little extra time, but I'm finding now that I sit down a lot with the baby and I can hand stitch while I'm holding him, but I obviously cannot operate my sewing machine if I'm holding him in my arms, and he just doesn't love baby wearing. And I mean, what kind of baby doesn't love baby wearing? Like, baby wearing, it's in the name. They're supposed to love it. He doesn't. So I don't get a lot of at my machine sewing time. I need projects that go fast, or projects I can do sitting down. So I've been doing a lot more hand sewing, which has been nice. All right, so the final thing that we're talking about today is the House Morrighan Abbie. And I've actually made 2 of these so far. And this leopard print was actually sent to me by accident. And I was going to list it in the shop, and then I decided I loved it too much to share it with you guys. So I'm keeping all of the yardage. And just for the record, I didn't receive like 50 yards. I received, I think, 10. So I'm keeping the 10 yards for myself. But this was one of the ones that was meant to be in the shop. And then here in the front, I actually used our faux leather, and it is really sexy without being like inappropriate. And I love how big and deep the cups are, because it actually provides coverage and some support, so I don't feel like it's completely inappropriate to wear around my kids. And so after I made 2, I decided that making the kits for the shop would be super easy and obviously helpful for you guys. So what comes in the Abbie kits? Abbie kits include 1 yard of 3/4 inch bra strapping. And this is exactly what the designer calls for in the pattern. So this isn't something that I put together and just said that's That's what it needs. That's what she called for, is 1 yard of 3/4 inch bra strapping. This is, I can't remember if it's a 1/2 inch or 3/8 inch. Hold on. It's a 3/8 inch picot trim, and it's got one plush side, one shiny side. That's, again, exactly what's called for in the pattern for all sizes. And then it includes your 2 sliders, and then a choice between 2 rings, or you can get a set of nursing clips. Obviously, I'm making mine all nursing friendly because if I can't nurse the baby in it, I honestly am not going to wear it at all. Not even a little bit. It's just not practical. I mean, what am I going to get to do? Wear it for like an hour before the baby needs to eat again? That's just silly. So the kits come in black or white. I don't remember if they were $3 or $3.50. Hold on. Let me get that pulled up on my computer here. So all of our bra kits come in these nice little bags. And the kits are $3.50. And you have a choice between white and black. So if you don't have any of the House Morrighan patterns, I actually really do recommend them. They come in different cup sizes, so I didn't have to do anything special. The one thing that I did have to do, and this is specific to me, not to the pattern, the first one I made, I went by measurements. And my under bust is 34, my full bust is 41. And that, I think, put me in like 34G, FG, I don't know, something like that. In general, I have found that for my body, I have a very thin back and a lot of breast tissue. And there's no better way to put that. It's just, it is what it is. So when I shop for bras, I'm always 3, even 4 cup sizes larger than what my inches measurement is. So I actually made it the largest size for 34, but it fit perfectly. Totally not a problem. I mean, the smaller size would have fit, but I preferred more coverage. Sharon said she's had 4 babies who love baby wearing, and her current one doesn't care for it yet. And I mean, my guy will sit on my back for maybe 10 minutes, and then he's like, okay, Mom, I don't want to do this. You have to hold me with your arms, or we have to go do something else. And obviously that's not practical for sewing. So I kind of have to wonder how I got so much done this week, but clearly I was just really dedicated and got it all done. So I don't know if people have questions about, thanks, Melissa, for getting those links in there. Oh, Stephanie. Stephanie says, I love that your sewing room isn't clean. So I do clean my sewing room probably about once a week, and I get this stack of patterns put away, and we've got this, hold on, this fabulous stack of fabric. These are all the things that I've worked through in like the past week. So they're, or things that I was like, maybe I need to be inspired by this. And then I just toss it in the corner because the baby's crying and I have to go get stuff done. The only thing you'll notice is that normally you won't see anything small on my tabletops. And that's mostly because I have cats and they're jerks and they will knock it on the floor. And I've had bobbins that like got unwound all over the living room. So no, my sewing space is not very clean, and this is just the stuff you can see. So I'm not going to show you the rest, like the floor and how I have patterns just shoved under the table, because that doesn't help anybody. Stephanie also said that is what a used sewing room should look like. And let me tell you, I use this space. I mean, it's in the middle of our house. So in front of me is my kitchen. And so my kitchen is right there. When I'm cooking, I can run over here and do something for 5 minutes and then go back to the kitchen. And as long as I keep my hands clean, we're okay. And then my living room's also off to my left here. So we've got the big screen TV and the couch. And so pretty much all throughout my day, I'm coming in here for 2, 3, 5 minutes at a time, grabbing something, sorting something, putting the pattern that I just taped together on the pattern pile, which these are my favorite patterns right now. That doesn't even begin to cover like all of my patterns that I don't use all the time. Natasha, you mentioned you have inspiration piles, and I've seen photos of your inspiration space. And let me tell you, sometimes I'm jealous because you have like so much stuff, but at the same time, like it is a hot mess, girl. And I don't know how you get in there and sew stuff, because I don't know that I could. Melissa's saying that she keeps her sewing table clean, but the rest is a disaster. And You know, Melissa, I wish I could do that. And you would think, you know, I have that's probably like 8 feet by maybe 12, 15 feet. You'd think in that space I could like keep it all clean, but I just can't. There's like, I'm busy being inspired. And if I have to spend the time cleaning, I'm not sewing. So I want to thank everybody for joining me today. If you have questions that you want answered later about the Love Notions Constellation, I am happy to answer those. Of course, head over to the group if you need more inspiration. Lots of people made them in lots of different fabrics, and they all turned out amazing. And the bra kits. So if you need a kit to make a House Morrighan Abbie, those are in the shop. I know she has other patterns with other requirements. I haven't had the time to go through and make individual kits for each of those types. So if you ever need a kit made and you're like, well, I don't need the 1 yard of 3/8 inch picot, I need 3/4 inch picot, or I need 1/2 inch straps. If you just shoot me a message, I can throw together something, and it's probably going to be around the same price range. So you don't have to worry about that the price is going to change very much. Let's see. Cheryl is saying, I have to finish my current project so we can use the dining room table for Thanksgiving. Well, I am really thankful that, number one, we're probably not doing Thanksgiving dinner at my house, although it might end up if my mom can't get it moved into our new place in time. But I'm very lucky that I have a dedicated space. And yes, we are sacrificing a big chunk of our living room, but it means that I get stuff done, and a happy mama makes for a happy family, right? So thanks everybody for joining me. I've had such a great time today. If you have questions, definitely email me, and I will see you again next week.